Hi everyone. So today I'm going to show you using Oracle functions. So Oracle functions is a fully managed multi-tenant, high scalable on-demand function as a service platform. So it is actually built on enterprise grade OCI. Right? It is powered by function project, FN project, open source engine. So one good thing about Oracle function is that there is no infrastructure administration or software administration you have to perform, right? You don't have to spin up an instance for your code to be deployed or your code to be built, right? You don't have to do it. And another thing is, in Oracle function you can write code in Java, Python, Node, Go and Ruby, and you can call it directly or trigger it in response to events, or some of the OCI services like API gateway, you can trigger it using that, right? So that is what I'm going to show it here using Oracle functions. I have an Node.js application which I'm going to trigger it or invoke it through API gateway. So even API gateway, it is a service offered by OCI where you can publish APIs with private endpoints that cannot be accessed through internet or public internet. And you can also expose through public IP address. You can have an option of making your API gateway public as well, right? And you can and these endpoints can support API validation, request response transformation, course authentication and authorization, and the request limit also you can set, right? And I'm what I'm going to do is, like, here my code, the Node code, it is in Git, right, in GitHub. And what I'm going to do is, like, I'm using Jenkins, which is another popular product among in CI/CD pipeline and all that stuff, right? Continuous integration and continuous deployment, right? So you can use Jenkins, where I'm pushing this code, right, through Jenkins to OCIR. That means another service of OC infrastructure, Oracle Cloud Infrastructure, OCI registry. Any changes which I make in my GitHub, right, it will be through Jenkins pipeline. It will be pushed to OCI. You can see in this diagram also. I'm using Jenkins. Oracle has a super solution service called Visual Builder Studio, which can handle this, all this CI/CD pipeline, your build job, uh, your development lifecycle. Every can be handled by Visual Builder Studio. But for this, I'm using Jenkins, right? And this Jenkins, I have deployed it on OCI, right? It is not directly, it is not in my local, but it is deployed in OCI, right? And I'm using the master and the slave node. So the slave node, what it will do is, like, when a pipeline come, or when I uh, initiate or schedule a pipeline in the my compute instance or in my tenancy, there will be a slave node provisioned by itself, gets spin up by itself for that particular job. Right? Once the job is finished, that instance will get terminated by itself. I mean, in finish in the sense, for an idle time it will look. If nothing is there, it will be directly uh, terminated by itself, right? So another thing is, like, here I'm using two tenancies, right? You can see it as two square here. Two tenancies I'm using, right? One is in in the same region, Melbourne region, which I am showing in this for this demo. What I'm doing is, like, once the image is pushed through Jenkins through container registry, I'm calling that code, right, through functions, and it is invoked through API gateway, right? So I don't want this another tenancy, right, or another tenancy. I want to invoke that function, but it should not go through the public network. So here I'm using LPG, that is local peering gateway, one of the gateway where we can directly, it will not be get accessed to the public. So it will be directly in the region, in different tenancy, but same region where we can use LPG, where I can invoke this API gateway, right? So as I told you, it is a private one. So I am opening the IP for only this tenancy, right? I'm only opening for this particular subnet. I'm opening this IP from to get called from this one. So this is the requester. This tenancy is the requester, where this is the acceptor. When any request coming from this particular tenancy or subnet, it will get accepted here. That is how it is getting called. Okay. So let me go through the demo. So first, let me show you. I have this. This is my second tenancy, right? LPG2, right? So I'm trying to call this, invoke this function, right? So okay, one sec. Let me open it. So I'm just SSH into this particular IP address, right? You can see it. It is now compute LPG2. And I'm trying to call, this is my API invoked, so I'm just calling it. So first time it will take little time. So this is my particular, so I what in the Node.js application I have just used some JSON, written some JSON value, right? JSON format value. So it is coming in the function Jenkins demos. Okay. So what am I going to do? We are going to change in my GitHub, right? My code I'm going to change. So I'm coming here, you can see it. Okay, this is my GitHub. I'm going to change. So in this GitHub, I have a Jenkins file where I have some configurations done where we have to build the Docker image. I have to push it to the particular OCIR, right? All that stuff I have done in Jenkins files. A Docker file is for making that Docker image, and this is my main file. So I'm going to do is like, I'm going to do a small change here saying that just Jenkins. Okay. So I'm just made the titles to functions and Jenkins, and I'm going to commit it here. Right. So that is done. The commit is done. So you can see here the commit. I'm going to return this value. Right. So from Jenkins, I'm just going to build that one, right? So here what I have used is like I have used an open Blue Ocean plugin where I can use the pipeline and all that stuff. I can create the pipeline. So before that, let me show you some of the configuration which I have done. So here one, see, you can see a node. This is because I have done it, I mean maybe 3-4 minutes before. There is already a instance provision by itself, so it is not in an ideal state now. So it is already, because I've used it for pipelining, this instance is already up and running, right? So what I'm going to do now is like I'm going to schedule this pipeline. This is my function hello world. There are so many pipelines, so this is the one I'm going to use it, which is connected to that particular GitHub. I'm just going to provision it. So what we will do, we will go and we will see it how it is going. All right, we can come here. I'm using Blue Ocean, right? So this is the one. So what is happening is like it is building the Docker image based on my Jenkins file. It is doing the test image. So I can see all these things, right? It is pushed to my OCIR, right? And it is the version 0.50. That is the version and the tag which I have used. So this is already pushed, right? So let us see it in my tenancy. So I'm going to my OCI tenancy here. This is my account, OCI account, and this is my tenancy which I'm using, and this the region is Melbourne. So let us see in my container registry. Any images are there right now. So yes, you can see it here, and you can see a version 1.5. See, they created 2 minutes before, right? It's just 2 minutes before it is created. So that means what we have pushed right now, it is created currently. So now what we are going to do is like through the functions, we are going to, I have already have a function here. So I'm just going to update that function. So you can, if you have already have a image, Docker image, and it is already pushed into a container registry, you can use the create command for the function. Otherwise, you can, if it is already there and you want to, that function is already created, if you want to just update it, right? Because I want to just update it. So I have used this Cloud Shell here. You can see it here on the top. There is a Cloud Shell. I'm using the same thing here. So right. So in this one, you can see one more thing. Let me show you that. There is getting started. So you use this getting started of that Cloud Shell setup. So imagine if you want to have this list of context, what all things are set up already configured. You can see it here. So I have in this Melbourne region, I have this one, it is registry is this, and the function is API URL is this, right? You can create, you can follow all this to get started. If you want to deploy an application, you can initiate it because you don't have any code, you want to try it out, you can directly try it out here. Because I already have a container image, right? It is already there. So that's what I'm not going to create it, but I'm just going to update it, right? So let me update it. Okay, this is my update comment. So if you want to create it, you already have an image which is already pushed it. You can directly use the take that image and create that function. My function is already created, so I'm just going to update it, and I'm just directing it to that 1.5 tag. So as soon as I do that one, it will show that it will get updated, right? And you can directly invoke this function. So one more thing, what happens is like when we invoke a function, right, in the first step, right? So function will pull this function Docker image from that specified Docker registry, which is already pointed to, and run it as a Docker container and execute that function, the particular function. So if there is any request, subsequent request to the same function, so what Oracle function will do, directly take the request from the same container, right? It will not go to the particular registry and take it, but the same container. And once the container is idle for some time, that the container will get removed by itself. So that is what it will do. So my function is in another tenancy, and I have another tenancy here. There is a different tenancy which I am used. So using some networking policies, I'm going to access only that particular IP address, right? When a call from that particular IP address, I will get that API call. So what in the, let me show in my API gateway where I've already set up my gateway. So in the API gateway, you have so many options, like you can invoke. So like imagine I have used this API maybe, right? And I have used this one, test I'm using, imagine test, right? So once you will just to give you an overview of this, you can give, of course, you can give authentication for that particular API. So here I am using the type as Oracle functions, right? You can use different HTTP, you can give directly your APIs. You want to see the stock response, normal response, you want to see it, whether it is working or not. So as soon as I give Oracle functions based on my compartment, right, my application, function application is displayed, and from that function is getting displayed here, right? So this is my gateway, and you can see it here. My gateway is in a private subnet. So that means I can only access, this function will get only accessed if it is set up, or the IP address which is requesting from, which is already set in my subnet or in the policies. Otherwise it will not get access. So that's why I'm using local peering gateway here, where I have in the route table, I have given the access to this other IP, right, subnet IP, so that they can access this one gateway. So let me go here. So you remember we have made a change in my GitHub for the file, saying like, right, that functions, only this functions and Jenkins. So that is a change we made. So let us see. Okay, this is idle for some time, so this is gone. Let us take another. So this is my IP address of the other tenancy compute instance, and I'm calling, I'm SSHing into it, and I'm calling my API, right? This is my API. Let me show you that. This is my API, right? So you can see it here, CGD and all. So I'm going to call it. Once I call it, you can see it here, functions and Jenkins, right? Before it was some different, Jenkins demo, and it is changed based on our change, right? So as I told you, for the first time, it will take little time to get warmed up, right? Because as I told you, it will remove that container directly. So if I call now currently, right, it will is so fast. You can see it here. It is so fast, and it is accessed by easily, right? You can see the how fast it is coming, right? That function is invoked, how fast, right? And you can have the metrics here. You can see how your function is doing, how many calls are happening, right? All that metrics part, you can see it here. All the metrics is there, right? How many times that function is called, you can see it here. A couple of times I've called my functions, right? It will give based on the intervals and all that stuff. So you can get the details here as well. Hope it helped you. Thank you.